Hello and welcome to this series of videos for Web Design 2. I'm IMED-2415 at El Centro College. I'm Francisco Rodriguez, your instructor. I'm going to be recording 10 or so videos so that you have a better understanding, better grip on what's going on with the class, and hopefully you can finish it before the end of the semester. In this very first video, I'm going to be setting up my website, and hopefully you can do so as well if you haven't done so so far. Be aware that in these videos I may be stuttering a little bit. I may be going back on some things that I said and correct myself, being as how I'm not going to take the time to edit them in the interest of time. So let's get started with assignment 1. Or actually, in this case, it's assignment 2. We're going to set up and create your website. I'm just going to open up this so that you know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about this, publishing your first page. Before you publish your first page, though, you need to go into Dreamweaver and set up your information so that you'll have access to your website. At the beginning of the semester, I sent out some information to you. If you don't have this, please let me know so that I can resend it. Basically, it's going to be your information on how to get to your website. First of all, I gave you a username, which is usually your first initial and your last name. In my case, for example, it would be the letter F plus my last name, Rodriguez. Something like that. That's not the one I'm using, but for you, that's probably what you need to use. Your password is going to be lowercase e plus your student number. You'll end up with something that looks like e plus a series of numbers. I am not sure how many. Is it 8? Is it 6? Something like that, but you should know by now. And then your URL, which was also included in that email, and that's usually something like, once again, your first name, rather the first letter of your first name, and then your last name, followed by dot. We are IDT.com. This is going to be the website that you publish to. This is also your FTP server. This is your server in general. This is going to be coming up quite a lot, so I'll just to avoid any confusion, don't go to frodriguez.weareidt.com. If your name is John Smith, it would be J Smith. Like I said, I did send that information at the beginning of the semester. Be sure to find it in your email. I already opened up Dreamweaver, and hopefully you have Dreamweaver installed. If you don't have access to Dreamweaver, please let me know, because you'll need to download it. And if you can't get to it because you've already used up your 30-day trial, you can come to El Centro College and use our computers and work from here. That is an option that's available to you. If you have already used the 30 days, I don't believe that you can reinstall it again and start from scratch. You would have to purchase it, and that I do believe costs maybe $10 a month. That's the plans that they have. So I'm looking at the first window that pops up from Dreamweaver when it's first opened. If yours doesn't say beginner at the top right, like it says here, be sure to click and select beginner. Yours might say something like default, or even something that's not available anymore. I forget what it used to say, but if you have tried one of my videos, you might have already gone to design, which is fine, but for these videos I'm going to stick with beginner because it gives me the least information that I need. That is, I have lots of open space. I do have a DOM tab here that I don't think we're going to be using anytime soon, so I'll double click on it, and that just sort of hides it. You can also get rid of it by clicking on this item, which you can't see. There's a window that pops up that says that you can close a tab group. That's what I need you to do so that it goes away. I have the insert tab, I have a CSS designer, and I have files. I want to be in the files tab. I could have also gone to site and tell it to manage the sites. I'll create a new site right now, and mine says it's going to create a site called unnamed site 2, since I have already done some work on this before. I want to call this site Web 2. You can call that whatever you want. I recommend you use Web 2 just so that you can follow along with the videos. Your local site folder, I would create a new folder on your desktop, and you can do that by clicking on the little folder, finding your desktop. By the way, if you're using a Macintosh, you know, there's ways that you can navigate to your desktop from Mac. I'm not going to be producing 2 sets of videos just yet. If you have any questions about how to use this on a Mac, once again, please shoot me an email. Clicking on desktop and creating a new folder here, I would recommend that you call it Web2 as well, and then tell it to select the folder. In future videos, you might hear me talk about this Web2 folder. It's not going to be in the same place. Just don't get confused about it. I'm creating this on the desktop, so in the hopes that you do the same at home. I'm going to click on servers next, and I'm going to click on plus to add a server. This process, by the way, we will only be doing once. This is to set up a website, and this is your website that we're setting up. If you had additional clients, if you had additional classes, you would set up a different one. For this one, we just need the one. I'm going to call the server Web2. Same thing, just for consistency. FTP address, remember that URL that I was talking about? That's your first name, weareidt, and .com. You would think that mine is frodriguez.weareidt.com, and it is. However, I've used that for another class, so I have picked another one, and it's called IMED-2415. Once again, if your name is John Smith or Jane Smith, you would go with J. Smith. If your name is Pancho Villa, would be pvilla.weareidt.com. At any rate, let me get this out of the way. My username, in this case, I think it's not F. Rodriguez, it's something like Web2. Yours, once again, your username is going to be your first initial plus your last name. That's what it should be, and it should be in the information that I sent at the beginning of the semester. Your password, once again, is lowercase e plus your student ID number. And let me see, mine is something different. Once you put in this information, you can click on test, and hopefully you get a good message, unlike the one that I'm getting right now. This is, I put in the wrong information. More likely than not, I put in my FTP address incorrectly. I'm doing all this yammering and was not paying attention. It's IMED-2415.weareidt.com. Once again, yours would be your first name, initial, and then your last name followed by weareidt.com. Let me test that, and now I was able to connect successfully. I'll click OK. If you cannot get to connect successfully, please email me as soon as possible. Your root directory is the same for everybody. It's going to be backslash and the words public _ HTML, no spaces. I'm going to put in another backslash, and there's the root directory. The port is 21. It's an FTP port, so we'll just leave it as such. I'll click on save, and I'll click on save again. And if you can actually see my desktop, you'd know then that there is a folder called Web2 in the desktop. My website is now created locally, and you'll know it's local, and next to the Web2, which is the name that I gave the server, is the local view. If I were to click on this and tell me, show me what's on the remote server, it would connect, and it's telling me that there is a CGI bin folder on the remote and nothing much of else besides the public HTML folder. I'll come back to the local view and have nothing except my root folder. My root folder currently contains nothing. Just know that the root folder is the folder that represents your Web2 folder that's on your desktop. Your website is now created. Let's create a blank index file just so that we have something to upload to. And it's not going to be necessarily blank, but at least it will exist. What I mean by that is if you pull up your browser and you were to go to your URL, in my case it's IMED-2415.weareidt.com, I would see that there is that CGI bin folder that I was talking about that's blank. Meanwhile, the index of root being represented by this one backstroke, is empty. I'll minimize that and come back to Dreamweaver. In Dreamweaver, I'm going to create my first file. Click on File, say New. We're going to be creating an HTML document, not the bootstrap. This should be on None. and that doc type should be HTML5. I'll click create, and I see my first view of the Dreamweaver creation tool. I can see that I have two windows. This one on top represents the page and whatever it may contain. Currently it's blank. The bottom section is showing me the code that is attached to this page. It's already created the doc type, it's already added the HTML and head tags, and it's titled as Untitled. While I can simply go into the code and change the title from Untitled Document to something else, instead of that I'm going to go to the properties at the bottom and just say, instead of Untitled Document, I'm going to call this Francisco Rodriguez. This is my name, Web Design 2. You can do your name and Web Design 2, or you can call it anything else that you'd like. By typing the document title at the bottom, whenever I return to the code, you'll see that the code has been changed. Nothing shows up at top, and that's fine, because over here I will be putting in some extra information that's going to be displayed on my web page. I'm going to say that this is IMED-2415, pressing enter. I'll put in my name, followed by I don't know what else to say. Maybe assignments, because there will be 10 of them. And I'll say assignment 1, enter, and I'll say assignment 2. I'll come back to this file periodically so that I can be changing and adding all my assignments. You'll see that as I was typing on top, the bottom code was being changed. I'm going to select assignment 1 and assignment 2, and I'm just clicking and dragging to select. I'm treating this very much like I would a word processing document. And at the bottom I'll find my bullets, and I'll create an unordered list. That added the unordered list plus the list code for this document. Assignments I'll highlight, and I'll change the format from paragraph to a heading 2, and I'm going to highlight my name from regular paragraph to a heading 1. So at the top I still have IMED-2415. I may decide that I want to change that to somewhere else, and maybe let me do that right now. I'm just going to edit and cut that. Control X is a shortcut for cut. I'm going to go down to the next line and backspace so that everything moves up. That erased the H1 format. I can bring it back by highlighting it and telling it again to do the heading 1. I'll press return after my name, and I will paste, edit, paste. Control V is a shortcut, and I'll highlight that and use the format in heading, I don't know, maybe heading 2. See, now that assignments is a little bit too big, so I'll highlight that and I'll change it to heading 3. So this is my first page that I've created. It's currently untitled. There's still nothing on my site, so I'm going to tell it to save. I'll go to File and Save, and I'm already on Web 2, and I'm going to call this Index. I'm only going to type the index. It already knows it's an HTML5. That's what I asked for, so I'll click on Save, and now I have an index.html file in my folder. I could right-click on the index.html file and tell it to explore. You can't see that probably on your screen, but I can. I clicked explore, and as soon as I did that, I got this directory. It's showing me that in my PC, in my desktop, there's a Web2 folder, and inside there's an index.html. I'll close that, and since this is already saved, I'll go and see what's going on in my web page back in Internet Explorer or Safari if you're using Mac or Firefox or whatever you're using. It doesn't really matter what browser you use with this class. I'm going to refresh and nothing happens because this has only been saved in my local view, in my local folder. I need to publish this. So I will find the file management button. Those are these two arrows in the top right corner. Click on that and tell it to put. By putting, it's going to push the content to the server. Should dependent files be included in the transfer? Currently I only have one file, that's the index.html file. If I had any pictures or any other kind of media attached to this page, this is where where it would be important to say yes, but since there's nothing, I can say no. However, please get into the habit of always clicking on yes. That way, if you have anything, it will be published. So I trust that the computer has actually taken the FTP information and uploaded it. I can change my local view to remote server and see what's going on. Now I see that not only is my CGI bin folder in the server, it's also got an index.html file. I'll come back to my local view, and most importantly, I'll come back to my browser. I'll reload, and there's my new page that's been created. So hopefully by watching this video, you were able to set up your FTP and your server information, and you were able to at least get your web page going. We will continue with the next assignment where well, now I'm getting confused because this is assignment 2. Let me go back while I'm still talking. Rather than saying assignment 1 and assignment 2, I'm going to start with assignment 2 and assignment 3, and then we'll have 4, 5, etc. I'm going to publish this again. I can click on the arrows and click on put, or I can select the index.html file, which is what I just saved again, right click on it and tell it to put. Same thing has been modified. Do you wish to save the file before putting? I'll say yes to all, and yes for the pendant files to be included. And let me check out my browser again and reload this. And so now here's assignment 2 and assignment 3. Whenever you turn in information to me, what I would like for you to do is to highlight and copy your server, your URL at the top. You can right click and say copy, and then when you're ready to turn it in, you go to your publish your first page, tell it to go into the assignment, and somewhere in the comments just paste. I'm going to press Control V. If you try to right click and paste, you get an error that says to press Control V for whatever reason, and that's what I would need. Assignment 2, publishing your first page, I do believe maybe has an extra piece of work that we need to do. So if you get this far and you got your site all set and ready to go, do turn that in. If there's something else, which is the it's going to be the gallery, that's going to be in the next video, and you can just upload the site again, and I can double check and give you a full grade. So I'll be back with the next video shortly, hopefully.